Hi everyone, this is Pushpa M. My topic is about introduction to switches. First, let's know about what is switch and why we use switches and where we use the switches. Why we have to use the switches? Switches are key buildings blocks for any network. They connect multiple devices such as like computers, wireless access pointers, printers and servers in the same network within the other buildings or campus, etc. And this switches are enables connected devices to share the information and to take to each other next. What is the use of switches? A switches is a device of a computer network that connects other device together. Multiple data enable or plugged into a switch to enable communication between the networked devices. Let's know what is switch. A network switch is a networking hardware that connects devices on the computer network by using packet switching to receive and forward data to the destination devices. Let's know about what is definition of a switch. Definition: a switches are hardware or a software device capable of creating temporary connections between two or three devices linked into the switch. This is the diagram for switch. There are types of switches. There are two types of switches, that are circuit switches and packet switches. First, let's know about circuit switches. Circuit switches are used to telephone network, but it is used for data transmission, also with voice communication. In circuit switches, these circuit switches are used for telephone networks to transfer the data communication from one device to another device. This is known as circuit switches. The function of a circuit switch is to transfer the signal that arrives at a given input to an appropriate output. How this circuit switches function, how it functions. It functions like it transforms the signals from one input to an appropriate output. It transfers the signals. Circuit switches can used in two technologies. This circuit switch also can be used in two technologies, that is, one is space, another one is time. One is space division switch and one more is time division switch. Space division switch, as the name says, space in the sense, as the name says, the time the signals are divided in the division of space. In space division switch, the path separated from each other specifically, like as the name says, space, it separates the space in accordingly. The technology is used for both analog and the digital networks. This technology, the space division switch technology, is used in analog and the digital networks. It used the following switches for connections. The connections like crossbar switch and multi-stage switches. The crossbar switch and the multi-stage switches. What do you mean by crossbar switch? A crossbar switch connects n into n arrays of cross points that connect any input of any available output using micro switches to each cross points. As cross points in the sense, it connects to the n number of switches, and this in the signal to the cross point. Each station connects to the matrix wise via one input and one output line, in a single stage cross bar switch. Blocking does not occur because connection requests are never demanded due to the lack of connectivity resource. connection requests are denied. When the connection requests are denied means when the request outgoing line is already engaged with the another connection. When it is denied means when the request is when it is denied, in the sense when it is the outgoing lines already has an engage, already it has an some work to do, then it is denied. Then limitations of a crossbar switches. The number of cross points grown in the square, the number of in the square, the number of cross points are grown in the square of the number of attached station. For example, to connect 1,000 inputs to 1,000 output required 1,000 outputs. This is input, and for required output for required output, and requires 1 lakh cross points, which is totally impartial. For this 1,000 input to appropriate 1,000 output, it requires like 1 lakh 1 lakh cross points, 1 lakh cross points, appropriately 1 lakh cross points it requires. 1 lakh cross points it requires, appropriately 1 lakh cross points it requires. The cross points are insufficiently utilized because statistics shows that in practice less than 25% of cross point is used. In what we use, it shows less than 25% of this. Only a small fraction of cross points are engaged, even if all or attached devices are active. If we also did this, then only small fraction of cross points will. Next, multi-stage switches. As the name says, multi-stage, there are many stages. Like the solution of limitations of the crossbar switches is multi-stage switches, which combines crossbar switches in several stages. As the name says, multi-stage, several stages crossbars are included, which combines crossbar switches in several stages. Designing multiple stage path inside the switch, we can decrease them. By using multi-stage switches, we can decrease the number of cross points. We can decrease the number of cross points. As the name says, we can decrease the number of cross points. Then in multi-stage switches, steps. What are the steps involved? In the sense, the n input lines, the n number of input lines are input lines into a group of n lines. For every group, one crossbar of size n into k of every input n into k is used in the first stage, where k is the number of cross points. In the middle stage, where k is the number of cross points, where k is the number of cross points, and we use k crossbars, each of size n by n, capital letter N by small n. N by n crossbars, each size is k into n, is used in the third stage. This is third stage. Is used in the third stage. Then for every group, one crossbar size is n into n is used in the first stage, where k is the number of cross points. In the middle stage, we use K crossbar and in the middle stage, and again as it repeats the stages of 3. First, this is the first stage, middle stage, and the third stage. Time division switch. In time division switch, as the name says, it divides in the time according to the time. In time division switch, the slot are divided by time slot instead of space. A time slot within a frame corresponds to a signal connection. Corresponds to a single connection. The heart of the division switch is time slot interchanger. It is also known as TSI, which replace cross points in a space switch with the reading and writing of a slot into the memory. Time slot interchanger. Time slot interchanger is used to change the ordering of the slots based on the desired connections. Used to change the ordering of the slots based on the designed connection. In a TSI, a TSI, a T a TSI, a TSI, a TSI consists of random access memory with several memory location. Random access with several locations. The size of the memory location same as the size of the single time slot. The time of the memory location is same as the single time slot. Then TSI receives digital plus during one time slot. It uses digital time slots and stores them in one processor. It stores in one central unit processor, then and releases them in during the proper time slot in next slot based on the decision of the control unit. It divides in the decisions of the control unit. Time slot manages time slots. Thank you. This is about the introduction of switches. Thank you once again.